Hey, it is Holden here. I got Mangone from Run Pure Sports. I got Keg from Run Pure Bets. And today on the DFS and Bets show, we are going to talk DFS for 6 games and betting for those 6 games. I want to remind you, if you're just joining us, this is the first time we've made this show free. Give us a thumbs up on the YouTube and subscribe to both the Run Pure Sports and Run Pure Bets YouTube page. And we got a lot going on right now. Keg, I just want to talk to you real quick about this. I know you got a discount. I love the Run Pure Bet side. I hop on the shows with you guys live just because I want to make more money. I like you too. And I'm a little lonely, to be honest with you, but it seems like we make a ton of money just about every time we do these live shows. What do you got going on the bet side?
Yeah, I think we have a 25% promo code right now. That's 25 off for anybody that signs up on the first month. The crew's killing it, man. JJ's on a ridiculous heater. He's hit like 22 of his last 25. Matt's been on a nice run. Right now, I think we're up 32 and a half units through the first 3 months. I'm up almost 14 units. So everybody's really crushing right now. Obviously, we got our live betting show Monday, Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday. College basketball is about to start. Max is going to do what he does and destroy that. Plus, he has a couple live betting shows throughout the week for college football. So things are going really well, man.
Yeah, it's the first time we've ever done this show live. So it's kind of fun doing that. Again, even I'm up like 4. I'm up 4 units on your show on live betting. That's how good we've been. I hang out with these guys, and now I'm starting to get good at it. Mangone, what's up, buddy? You and I do a whole bunch of premium stuff. We do a cash show specifically for cash players. We got our shows leading up to lock on Sunday. There's so much on the premium side here.
Oh, yeah, there's so much stuff. I mean, like, listen, we got the Masters coming up for golf. There's going to be tons of content for that. We have the Houston Open this week. We have Maction football action tonight. I know Maxwell Smart's doing his show tonight for the college football. For the bet side, we got tons of, content on the DFS side for that. And then, hey, it's week 9 NFL. I mean, we have, like, tons of different shows. We got a Friday night show. You and I hang out on Friday. We do the cash show. We also have the college football show. Yeah. And then we have the Off the Chalk show that me and AP do on Saturdays. And so tons of awesome stuff here over at Run Pure Sports. It may feel like there's not a lot of sports going on, but we got tons of good stuff going on right now.
All right. Enough of us bloviating about ourselves. We got 6 games to get into from a betting and DFS perspective. Carolina, Kansas City, Seattle, Buffalo, Pittsburgh, Dallas. I can't wait to talk about the Steelers D there. New Orleans and the Bucks, Detroit at Minnesota, and Denver at Atlanta. Again, give us a thumbs up if you got a second there. Keg, let's start with you on the bet side like we normally do. Carolina visiting Kansas City. Kansas City now a 10.5 point favorite. I'm seeing them 11 over at William Hill. Carolina and Kansas City, the total here is 52.5. You know what's interesting, Keg? I don't think the Kansas City defense gets talked about enough. They really have been terrific in quite a few games this year. They have quelled a lot of wide receiver production this season. But I just wonder, do you think Carolina can put up enough points to hit the total? And which side are you leaning right now?
Yeah, it's been a tough couple of weeks for the Carolina Panthers, man. After winning 3 games in a row, they've now lost 3 straight games, and all 3 games have been pretty close losses. They lost the last 3 weeks, I think, by an average of 6 points per game, less than a touchdown on average. So that tells us that, they're in every game that they play. It's just a matter of getting over the hump the last few weeks. So I don't think the Panthers are quite as bad as their 3-5 record. Now, last week, the offense didn't play well at all. You need to throw for more than 158 yards if you want to consistently win games in this ultra offensive NFL 2020, right? So Teddy B struggled last week. And the running game wasn't much better, for being honest. Football Outsiders, I think, had the Carolina offense like 10th best in the league. And I don't know, man. I just don't see it. Last week, the Panthers' yard per play wasn't terrible, but what was bad was their efficiency. They have to do better than 2 for 10 on third down. that just doesn't win you football games long term. As far as their defense, it's basically been what it's been all year, and that's bad, right? 23rd in defensive DVOA. The Falcons had no problem moving the ball up and down the field, and the Falcons had the ball for 37 minutes on Sunday, man. So the Panthers could not get them off the field, and if they couldn't do it against the Falcons, the Chiefs might have the ball for 45 minutes. Now, you mentioned the Chiefs defense, top 13 D in the league, probably the most complete team right now in the NFL. As far as the Chiefs, they're back in that mid-season, we're going to run through the league Super Bowl form. So they've won the last 2 games by like 53 points combined. Now, granted, it was against the Broncos and it was against the Jets, but they're doing what they're supposed to do, and that's destroy bad teams. So 7-1 on the year. The only knock you have on this team is the strength of schedule, considering how bad the teams are that they played specifically this season. So the Chargers can't hold the lead, right? The Patriots are just bad this year. Buffalo is a good win, but the Bills aren't as good as we thought they were. The Broncos and the Jets are bad, and the Ravens are solid, but it was week 1. So aside from that, what can you say? Going into the game against the Jets, they had the best offense in the league, and they came out of that game the best offense in the league. So as far as the spread is concerned, I lean laying the number at 10.5. If we see it drop another point to even, or a half point to an even 10, I'll most likely be on the Chiefs. Already dropped the point since open, so we might see it get to 10. I'm really not sure though. If the Panthers continue this abysmal third down conversion rate, I don't see how the Chiefs don't cover this game. As far as the total's about 52.5 right now. I lean over because the Chiefs offense is locked in right now, and Carolina's probably good for their 17 to 20 points that they get just about every game. So slight lean over, but I probably won't be on the total either way. But if we do see 10, it'll definitely be a play on the Chiefs.
All right. Again, this is a show that we usually don't do live, but since we're doing it live today, it'll be interesting. I want to see if we can get 50 likes, 50 likes during this show, because most of the people watch this at its tape because it's always tape. So if we can get 50 likes, we'll give away some Run Pure Sports gear. How about that? Does that sound good? I think that sounds very fair, guys. Hey, on the offensive side, this is what I'm looking forward to asking you, and I'm going to do it right now. Any chance you start Christian McCaffrey at $9,500? Let me see here. I got it written down. What's the chances you start McCaffrey this week? $9,500 FanDuel, $8,500 on DK.
Yeah, I mean, there's a chance, right? It's a great spot for Christian McCaffrey. He's 8.5K. The usage that he sees is something that when we seen it in the past, right? It's been something we can't ignore. But is Mike Davis going to get some work, right? They talked about how he played himself into a role to be able to get some more opportunity. I am curious to see how that shakes up. I do think there's a chance that they just ignore that. I do think there's a chance that they, give him the ball more. I don't know if Christian McCaffrey will be a priority spend. It's one of those things where I'm still evaluating early in the week. I haven't made that decision. And I think having value helps that too, right? You can make some cases for some other guys at the top as well. But at the moment, I think Christian McCaffrey's in my player pool. Don't know if he's like this lock of all locks like he's been in the past, though, just because of the uncertainty coming back the first week. Might want to take more of the wait and see approach in cash games. But in tournaments, I understand if you just want to lock and load and try and, make sure that people are just a little too nervous and get on board before everyone else. I completely understand doing that if you would like. The big thing to talk about in this game is on the Panther side of the ball, and it's DJ Moore's price tag over on DraftKings. 5.6K. Yeah. I mean, that's a nice price, especially for a team that's going to be losing most of the game, right? Reason why we liked the Jets receivers last week. We didn't like the Jets receivers because they're any good, right? We liked them because they're trailing. They got a young rookie in Denzel Mims who has some potential. And that was the reason I like them, right? You're going to see them throwing the ball a ton. And I think you're going to see the Panthers throwing the ball a ton. So I think DJ Moore at 5.6K is a good play. So is Robbie Anderson at 6.3. I mean, I don't want to ignore still like what he's kind of been doing for that team. Last week, I think you can give a pass to him a little bit, and even the whole Panthers team, right? He still ended up seeing 8 targets, right? Had 5 receptions for 48 yards. But if you look at that game, right, there was so much weather going on. that game was just like a complete disaster. So I kind of give it a bit of a pass. You also saw Teddy Bridgewater got hurt, and then PJ Walker ended up being in there. So I'm okay with basically saying, hey, I'm going to trust the sample size of what we've seen over the first 7 weeks with Robbie Anderson, and don't mind going back to him at 6.3K. I think he's a really good play. It's really interesting to see Curtis Samuel's usage last week. I liked him a bit in Showdown, and he ended up, running the ball in the end zone. He was used in the run game a little more. I'm curious to see if they start mixing him in there, because if they do, that could cut into some of McCaffrey's work. A carry here and there could add up, right? Especially if it's at the red zone. So I am interested to see how that Curtis Samuel usage keeps going up. I do think he is an interesting play as well. It's hard to ignore this Carolina offense in this situation they're in. I do think they're a good play. And the Kansas City Chiefs, right? One reason I like them is, hey, their team total is at 32. That's pretty good, right? That was a reason to like them against the Jets, because we know we would put up a lot of points there. For the Chiefs, they're at home. I think this is a good spot for them. Now, I worry about Clyde Edwards-Helaire, because you see the Le'Veon Bell mixing in, the usage is a pain, and there's so many different weapons that they can throw to. They got Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill, Mecole Hardman, Demarcus Robinson. So trying to figure out which guy's going to get the ball, that's the one issue from a DFS perspective. Last week, I felt like it made more sense maybe to go to them against the Jets because of all those win games we had. I was told on this show last week that we had some exciting games, and I think I can victory lap that right now when I said they were not exciting games. And the games
they were exciting.
Awful. Oh, that last week's games were awful.
Amazing.
Jay, you got to back me up on this one. Last week's games were brutal.
I like to think of myself as Switzerland. So I'm going to say that they were okay, not great, not terrible.
You can't tell me if I told you right now, hey, sign up to watch Raiders and Browns again for 3 hours. No one's doing that. Right?
That was a great game. The wind, the snow, the sleet, the ice. Oh, it was so compelling, a close game. How could you not love that?
I know why you're so excited. You just got off the Wishbone pod last night with the old guys. You guys love that kind of run game. But that game was brutal to watch. But we have some good games this week. We have some electric offenses, and like this Chiefs offense is electric. My issue is when you look at the slate as a whole, I personally think there's enough games where I'd rather go to other spots and not spend for these options.
Okay.
I mean, sure, you can make a case for a cheap Demarcus Robinson or a Mecole Hardman with there being no Sammy Watkins. It is worth mentioning those guys, but I don't know. It's tough for me to spend on guys like Kelce and Tyreek Hill. But if you do play some Panthers, right, it doesn't hurt to run it back with Chiefs, because if the Panthers have a ceiling game, Chiefs got to go pretty crazy too. You would think.
Yeah. And I mean, I love the DJ Moore call. I think Christian McCaffrey is interesting. And then it's just going to be tough to pin down this offense for the Chiefs. Like, I don't think Mahomes is going to be that popular. I think that, people are going to gravitate to Russell Wilson that are not too funny. I think he's cheaper on the sites. And then, on the other side, the running game, Bell, Helaire. You can't, who the hell is going to have a big game there? I don't know. The Chiefs have really turned out to be kind of an interesting puzzle on a week-to-week basis. Like last week was easy. We knew we should crush them. This week, where are we going?
Yeah, so my issue is again, I'm more of a cash game guy. So it's I like more predictable scenarios, right? And there's a lot of unpredictability with this entire offense of where the ball is going to go, right? I will say, what's pretty predictable? The Chiefs are going to be leading. And you know what that means? The Panthers are going to be throwing. So now I want to gravitate towards that offense because of that. That's why I don't like the Chiefs as much. But it is worth mentioning that in tournaments, if this game stack gets overlooked, you could see DJ Moore becoming really chalky, right? And if DJ Moore becomes chalky, and let's say a guy like, I don't know, Robbie Anderson, let's say he becomes underowned, you can make him a really great leverage play. Or let's say Christian McCaffrey for some reason becomes underowned. You can make him a really interesting option to go to and then run it back with a Tyreek Hill, right? Because if Christian McCaffrey ends up having this big ceiling game at that price tag, you can make a case that Tyreek Hill had a monster game. So I do think it's worth mentioning that this game is a really good tournament game. It's tougher in cash games, but in cash games, the Panther side of the ball is really strong.
Okay, very good. I want to remind everybody with our show today, our live stream, give us a like, some thumbs up, and then subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's Run Pure Sports, Run Pure Bets. And right now you can just get in our Playbook Premium for $40 a month. If you just want to dip your toe in there, you get the Showdown content, you get the playbooks, which is all the, the rankings for our players, articles. I mean, it really is terrific. You want to spend a little bit more, $80, For the elite, you get the member Discord where you get to ask all of our guys questions like Mangone, Big T, JSU, and on the bet side, JJ right here, Mr. Keg as well. And then if you really want to get crazy, for $800 a year, you get everything, like everything, live shows, podcasts, everything. So go check it out, runpuresports.com, runpurebets.com, Keg, Seattle, and Buffalo. Russell Wilson last week, it was an interesting week for him. 4 touchdowns. He was just perfect. And then 2 weeks ago against Arizona, throwing those 3 picks, he's back on track. He's absolutely back on track. We got a spread here where you're getting even money for 3 points. Seattle 3-point favorites on the road. Total here is 55. It's gone up about a half point. Keg, a lean in this game or a hard opinion?
Yeah, as bad as the Panthers were last week on third down in the game that we just covered, that's as good as Seattle was on third down. They crushed it against the 49ers. Obviously, Wilson was clutch last week. I think they were 60% on third down Sunday. And if you can consistently move the chains on third down, you're going to score in bunches, right? And what happens last week? Another game where the third best offense in football, according to Football Outsiders, scores over 35 points in a game again. So Seattle just continues to do this week in and week out, and that's why they've won 6 of their first 7 games, and their only loss was in overtime, right? So now the knock on Seattle are 2 things. Number one, they have one of the worst defenses in the league, right, according to most metrics, and specifically the passing defense is abysmal because they cannot consistently generate a pass rush at all. The other knock on this team is there's no way that they can keep up the ratio of touchdowns scored to field goal scored, right? Now, regardless of both of those situations, they continue to put wins in the win column. Now, the Bills, man, now what are they? 6-2 through the first 8 weeks, right? Watching them play football, they just don't look like a 6-2 team to me.
They don't.
They are nowhere near as good as I thought they would be. First of all, the defense that was in the top 5 all year last year continues to struggle substantially. And the Bills' offense looks overrated to me. Now, you would have thought that Josh Allen was the best quarterback in football through the first 4 weeks, the way that people were talking, right? Now, the last 4 weeks, he crashes back down to earth. The Bills didn't beat the Patriots because of Josh Allen on Sunday, right? He goes 11 for 18 for $154, no touchdowns, 1 pick. He did manage to run 1 touchdown into the end zone, but he looked bad, man. Now, I feel like the second part of the season, we might see the Bills come back down to earth from this 6-2 start. Now, as far as the spread, right now the line is Seattle minus 2.5 on the road, right? And I guess it makes sense to me. Now, I think Seattle is a better football team than the Buffalo Bills, even with the bad passing defense that Seattle has. Because based on the last few weeks, I'm not sure that we can trust Josh Allen to take advantage of that bad Seattle pass defense right now. So even though earlier in the year, I would have 100% taken the points and the Bills in this spot, I lean Seattle here under a field goal because I just think they're a better football team right now. As far as the total, I like the over here, barring any type of crazy wind in this game. As long as the wind isn't ridiculous like it was in that part of the country on Sunday, I do think we're probably going to see points, right? Both defenses are bad. Seattle's hanging 30+ on everybody they play. And I'm sure that Buffalo is going to find the end zone a few times. So I'll lean over. And I'll lean Seattle minus 2.5 here, even though if you would have asked me 5 weeks ago, I would have probably definitely been on the Bills plus the points.
Okay. Mangone from the DFS side. Here's the big question. I think people overthink the DK Metcalf, Stephon Diggs thing. It's like every single week DK Metcalf is in play. Okay. He just does so much with his targets. He does so much with his catches. And he's gone over, let's see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 of his 7 games, he's gone over 90 yards. He's just a touchdown monster. He scored 2 last week, 2 3 weeks ago. He scored in each of his first 3 games. He's getting the touches in the red zone. I mean, to me, we have to start talking about him as the best fantasy asset at wide receiver in DFS sometimes. And he's priced up like it too. He's at 7-8 this week on DraftKings. Lockett, you're getting $1,000 discount though. That's the big difference there. How do you handle the Lockett Metcalf situation? Because most weeks I'm just on Metcalf and it pays off.
Yeah, well, I mean, like I was told that the new strategy is DK Metcalf 1 week, Lockett the next, and you just keep switching back and forth. Yeah, that's what you do. You just keep switching back and forth. So this week's a Lockett week, but I will say Metcalf this week, I do have some concerns. Right? Is he going to get White? I assume Tre'Davious White is going to be the guy that covers him this week. I don't think that White would end up sliding over into the slot on Lockett for most of the game. So I think that's the route I'm going to take. I'm going to go with the savings with Lockett, right? And it's not just like, listen, the one thing I will say about like DFS and that I enjoy is the Seattle normally plays at the 4 o'clock games, right? And when they play on the 4 o'clock games, you know what I can do? If I got the cheaper receiver in there, or even the more expensive one, I can make a pivot to the guy who's going to be lower owned to try and get an advantage if I'm behind, right? And this week we don't have that advantage, right? It's a 1 o'clock game. So we lost that opportunity there. I still think you're taking the savings with Lockett. I mean, this isn't $400 in savings. This is $1,000 in savings. This is a lot. But of course, ownership is going to reflect that. So the question is, what is the difference in ownership? Is Metcalf going to be 10% owned while Lockett is 50% owned? I don't know, right? It's Wednesday. I can't tell you ownership right now. But that is something to look at. That is something to kind of put in your brain right now. Say, hey, I'm going to remember this. Mango told me this right now. Let me look at that on Friday or Saturday. Or check it out on our GBP Off the Chalk show and the premium, where we'll probably talk about that whole situation. So that's my current take on that. I do think you can make a case. We're talking about this passing game being great, right? You think Seattle's the better team, Jay? Why not play some Chris Carson then, right? No one's going to play Chris Carson. What's going on with this running back situation? I'm not sure. Obviously, you got to wait for the injury news. Seattle's running backs has been a situation. You kind of wait until Friday to hear what's going on. But you can have some really good leverage opportunities there with those Seattle running backs possibly. And I'm also kind of with Jay here a bit. I haven't been impressed with Buffalo's defense. They've been very frustrating this year. And I don't know why they've been so bad, but man, it has not been the defense I've been expecting. You can make the case that maybe it's because Buffalo is just running at a faster pace on offense, and that has maybe affected some things on the defensive end, but I don't really think that that's the full story there. But ultimately, I like the Seattle side of the ball in cash games. And I think that the Bills, like Josh Allen, is still a really good play. If you're expecting him to be a home underdog, that's going to be good for him, right? If you also look at these defenses, they don't get a lot of pressure on the quarterbacks right now. And ultimately, I think what you can see is a really good game interaction, right? I've been talking about we want games that interact and go back and forth with each other. This is a game that I think you can see that with. Obviously, we have to check on the weather and see what the wind's going to do and how the Vegas total adjusts. But I do think you're going to see Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, John Brown for 4.6K. That price seems like it's too cheap. There's a lot of fantasy goodness in this game that I want to tackle. And hey, don't sleep on Zach Moss. He got 2 touchdowns last week. He's been pretty good. And I feel like he's taken that job from Devin Singletary right now.
Yeah. I mean, we thought that was going to happen at some point in time, and he just didn't put up any numbers. He wasn't doing anything. Well, go fall in the end zone and tell me what's going on. Anybody that you see is going to be in your core cash plays here? Moss is 5'8" on FanDuel. He is more touchdown dependent. He's really not used in the passing game. 2 weeks ago, he had 3 catches. Besides for that, he really has not been used in the passing game. And he is 5.2 on DraftKings. Do you see any of the who's your cores, your cash plays, at least in the pool?
I mean, definitely Metcalf and Lockett, but my lean is Lockett over him right now. I'd say Russell Wilson and Josh Allen, they're going to make the pool for cash games. I don't think Zach Moss would make it. I don't know. There's maybe a chance he gets in there because he's cheap and maybe the price hasn't adjusted yet. Like FanDuel, he's 5'8". Always depends on like the slate as a whole and kind of what value we get. So he might, I'll put him in the pool for now, but a guy that probably gets kicked out by Friday night. And I definitely am putting John Brown in there. That price is too cheap at 4.6K, right? Like, look, we gotta like him here in this spot. I mean, FanDuel 5.5 is still good. I don't even mind Cole Beasley at 5.3. Like, listen, no one likes to be like, hey, I'm gonna go out and roster Cole Beasley. Like, it's not an exciting thing to do, right? But I mean, it's like buying, a good washer or a good oven. You got to do it, right? Like, I mean, there's such safe production here. It's so good, right? Last week against the Patriots, it was a disaster, but we can write that game off. That was a game that went from a 46 total to a 40. The win was a disaster. The Patriots were running with Cam Newton, and just that game was a mess. So look at the other games, though. Every single game, he's got 7.8 fantasy points, 9.5, 13, 10.7, 8.3, 12.5, 16.7. If you're just trying to have a cheap value play in a game that is going crazy and going to have a lot of touchdowns, Cole Beasley is not a bad option. I really don't think it's a bad route to go. So I wouldn't hate going there. But John Brown on DraftKings specifically, on FanDuel, I think Cole Beasley and John Brown are interesting plays. And hey, if you have the money for Stephon Diggs, sure. But the thing is, we're going to want to probably pay for Lockett over Diggs, I think. I really think that's the route I'm thinking right now.
All right. Hit the, thumbs up button. We get to 50 likes. We'll get you some Run Pure Sports gear. That'll be wonderful. Check out Run Pure Sports right now. We got all of our premium content. JSU and I do a show from 11:30 to about 12:45 every Sunday morning. JSU, for me, the best tournament player in the world right now. And not just football. Like, we're talking 3 sports, but he's absolutely spectacular. Also, if you're watching on YouTube right now, you can ask us some questions, and we'll try to get to those questions before the end of the show. Keg, let's get to the next one. I can't wait to talk to Mangone about the Pittsburgh defense this week, but it seems like every single week you and I are betting on Pittsburgh and they're covering. So what are we doing with Pittsburgh at Dallas this week? We don't even know who started. We know that Don Fanucci is not going to start, right? Don Fanucci, no start. So we got a couple more. Is it Cooper Rush and some other jabroni I never heard of? What are we doing with this Pittsburgh line? Because you look at it, you say, they're just going to murder him. They're going to crush him. It's going to be the worst beat down ever. And now it's at 13.5 point favorites for Pittsburgh on the road. Totals at 42. Okay.
Yeah, they're begging you. They're begging you to bet Pittsburgh. Another great game from the Pittsburgh Steelers. We've been ringing the bell all year for this team, Holden. We said if Roethlisberger can stay healthy this year, they'll be one of the best teams in the league and a Super Bowl contender because the defense is just too good. 8 weeks later, 7-0 team, back-to-back wins against very solid teams. Probably one of the most complete teams in the league right now, alongside the Chiefs, maybe the Bucks. So, the one thing I will say is all year long, the Football Outsiders ranking has been a little off to my eye. They have them ranked second in defense in the league right now. And while I do think they're a top 10 defense, second seems a little generous to me, slightly. Both teams that they played the last 2 weeks have put up 24 plus, I think. On the flip side, they have the offense ranked, I think, 17th. And I think the Steelers' offense is easily one of the 8 best offenses in football right now. So the analytics don't really coincide with what I've seen on the field, but nevertheless, they're one of the most complete teams in the league, coming off a couple huge wins. And they should easily handle this Dallas team, right? The game could get ugly. Now, what do you say about the Cowboys, man? I mean, they're all the way bad. The defense has been horrific all year long. It's going to continue to be all year long. And the offense suffers the unfortunate injury to Dak. In comes Andy Dalton. He looks bad. Then he gets hurt. Then we got the Danucci. I mean, it's like, how many points do we really expect this team to score against a defense like the Steelers when the last 2 games in which the Cowboys played NFC East divisional games, they were outscored a combined 48-12. So the team is in shambles. Now, here's my problem. Do you really want to lay 2 touchdowns on the road after the Steelers come off 2 huge wins against 2 playoff teams last year? That is usually the spot in this league where you want no part of laying double digits, especially on the road, right? So the line is a pass for me. As far as the total, I don't really like the number either way. The only angle that I'd be looking to play in this game is the Steelers team total over. Right now, I think I found it on like 2 books that have the line right now, and it's at 28.5. I don't want to bet 28.5. So I'm going to wait. Hopefully we see an even 28, or maybe if we get really lucky, we'll see 27.5. If we see that, I'll be on the Steelers team total over here, definitely. If we don't see that and it's an even 28, I'll probably still be on the team total over. I just don't want to push the button at 28.5. But other than that, I don't like the situational spot for the Steelers coming off 2 huge wins. You know, it's just too easy. That, first of all, that line I think was like 8.5 on Sunday night for this game, and then it went to 13.5, right? So could they blow them out? Of course they can. But I just don't like to play that spot coming off back-to-back wins like that in a big way. So I'm going to hope we see a 27.5 or a 28 on the team total. If we do, I'll hit the button for the Steelers team total over.
All right, let's do this here. Steelers defense, $4,900 on DraftKings. This reminds me kind of the Patriots last year at the beginning of the season. The difference is, you know, the Steelers haven't been nearly as good as the Patriots crushing it early last year. But again, they're facing a team with a horrible quarterback, horrible offense. So here's my question for you, Mangone. Can we treat the Steelers? Are they going to be big enough to be a running back 2 at 4.9K, or do we not dip our toe in the water this week?
Yeah, well, I mean, if you're like Jay and you're drinking the wine early, apparently the chat says that they think Jay is drinking the wine early.
Apparently, I can't go a day without drinking wine, says the public.
Well, I mean, you did crush a big bag on the live show for your birthday, and I got to tell you, I was most impressed.
I did. I wasn't proud of it, though.
Oh, you weren't? You should be. It was impressive. No, I can't drink a bag of wine. It looked like a colostomy bag.
How bad does that sound? A bag of wine? That sounds so low budget. But no wine for me on a Wednesday.
Okay. Well, if you're drinking wine on a Saturday night building teams, you might play the Steelers at 4,900. I mean, that's absurd, man. Like I talk about this all the time, right? Like all salary dollars are not created equal, right? Like if I'm using $1,000 to move my tight end up, right? It's not the same as using $1,000 to move up my wide receiver, because of like the type of production you can get sometimes, right? Sure, you can make a case where maybe it's a better upgrade for, you know, the tight end spot sometimes, but spending your money on defense there, that's just absurd, especially with like the range of outcomes it is and the type of ceiling that a Steelers defense can have compared to like, you know, what some other positions can have. Like, I'm just going to punt, right? Like, give me one of these like $2,000 defenses. Okay. I'm not a big, playing defense or paying up for defense person unless I have the salary on the slate, right? Or I feel confident enough where I think that the structure of going up to a defense, right? And maybe not a defense that's like, I don't want a defense that's 4,900, right? If everyone's spending money on like a $2,500 defense and I see a defense that's only $500 or $600 more, in tournaments, I understand maybe going up there and getting a different type of construction. And I'm only having to pay $500 or $600 for it. I'm not paying $2,000 for it. No chance. So I will not be investing in the Steelers defense this week.
Okay. Then let's look at the Steelers. I mean, first of all, any Cowboys options? Just a quick yes or no.
Oh, no, I'm out, man. There's no chance to
all right. Then, and again, this is a later game at 4:25. James Conner, Ben Roethlisberger, Juju Claypool. I can't play Deontay Johnson. He's Mr. Glass. Eric Ebron. Who's in play here for the Steelers?
Yeah. I mean, not a lot that I love, right? It's a 41.5 total. The Steelers side though, it tallies up to like almost 28, or it's 28.5. I think Jay said. I just don't love this side. I mean, you can make cases for James Conner, but the price is too expensive. There's other ways I'd rather spend my money. I think it's just too good of a slate where we don't have to play these guys. Yeah, I mean, listen, if you ever have a 41.5 total, it's going to be hard to get me excited about it from the DFS perspective. I'll make, I'll let others, I feel like, make mistakes on this game because I don't see the Cowboys, offense being able to do enough to make this game put up enough fantasy points.
All right, hit the like button. Check out our stuff on runpurebets.com, runpuresports.com. Again, when you sign up, as little as $40 a month, you spend a little bit more money. You get access to all of our insiders, our analysts on the Discord. If you're not familiar with Discord, it's pretty awesome. Basically, you just go in a chat room and you ask our guys, and within an hour, usually they're going to answer your questions. We got videos, we got audio, we got everything that's going on. All right, Keg. Sunday Night Football. Usually we don't go off the main slate, but this is too juicy. Saints at the Bucs. Tom Brady not coming off his best game ever. So that's interesting with the 2 passing touchdowns. Not bad. I mean, if we're looking at turnovers, that wasn't there. Drew Brees, 6.1. What's the state of these 2 defenses? I just feel like Tampa Bay's defense is spectacular. And even if Michael Thomas is back, I kind of lean Tampa Bay in this one, Keg. Am I completely off the rocker? Totals at 51.5. And it's a 5-point spread here for Tampa Bay. I hate 5 and 5.5 is the problem.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm not really sure what to make of the New Orleans Saints. The analytics love the team, top 10 in both offense and defense, right? But the eye test looks like an okay team that is just getting by and squeaking out wins. 2 weeks ago, the Saints come back from down 17 against the Chargers, right? But that looks a lot less impressive considering it's happened 3 times to the Chargers this year. So, and last week the Saints got by the Panthers by a field goal. This past Sunday they beat the Bears in overtime by a field goal. It wasn't impressive. The Saints were 2 for 13 on third down on Sunday, which wasn't good. Granted, the Bears have a better than average defense, but still, 15% on third downs, you're going to lose that game 8 out of 10 times, man. But they get by another team by a field goal. So, I'm not impressed with the Saints this year really at all. I'm not buying into the whole noodle arm thing, but that aside, I'm still not overly impressed by the Saints. Now, the Bucs are another one of those teams that appear to be extremely balanced. They're a top 7 team in both offensive and defensive DVOA. Going into Sunday, I think they have the number 1 defense in football, and deservedly so. So, we saw the Bucs almost lose to the Giants, right? Now, what do you take away from that game? I don't take much from it, and I'll tell you why. First of all, I think that the Giants are slightly better than their 1-7 record. Maybe not much better, but better. Second of all good teams throw in a couple clunker games where they just don't look right. That's why the team that wins the Super Bowl has 3 or 4 regular season losses. So I expected last night's game to be relatively close. The whole squad, Monday night's game, I'm sorry. The whole squad was on the Giants plus 13. The Bucs looked dreadful in the first half. Then they got their shit together in the second half, which is what you would expect a good team to do. And then if you take away that last touchdown by the Giants with 30 seconds left, Tampa Bay wins that game by 8 or 9, which would have been slightly less than the Vegas expectation. But still, the performance doesn't look as bad as last second touchdown, 2-point conversion missed, and they just get away with the win. So as far as the spread is concerned, man, I think that the Buccaneers are a better football team, definitely. How much better is the question? Are they 5 points better? I'm not sure, but I'll tell you what, I would lean laying it in this spot rather than taking it, that's for sure, because I don't like the way that the Saints have looked for about a month now, even though they continue to chip away and win these games by 3 points. So like you, I hate laying 5, but in this situation, I feel like I'm saying this all day today. In this situation, I would lean laying it rather than taking it. As far as the total, I lean under. The analytics have both these teams in the top 10 in defense. So, I think I'm going to side with the defenses in this game and say that they get under the total of 51.5 here. So lean under for me here. And that's all I got.
Okay. Hey, Mangone, this is really fascinating from a showdown perspective. I feel, if Michael Thomas comes back, did you see he's 6.9 on DraftKings? I mean, we're talking about the number 1 running back and the number 1 wide receiver coming into the season. They'll both be on different slates this week, again, in all likelihood. What do you think about Thomas specifically on DraftKings at that price? Like, don't you have to lock him in? Maybe not the captain, but take a shot on him, have some heavy exposure?
Yeah, I mean, you can make a case like to maybe like if let's say you don't typically like to play the the all week slates, right? Well, if that Packers game goes, which is going to be on Thursday, you have a really cheap running back in Tyler Ervin that might end up seeing most of the work. I'm not sure what they've decided yet there in Green Bay, but you can play him. Then you can play Michael Thomas in the Sunday night game, right? At 6.9K. And then definitely pass on playing Jets and Patriots on that Monday Night Football game. But those are the games that are on the main slate, right? There's definitely a reason to talk about Michael Thomas here and maybe signing up for those slates and getting a little bit of an edge, right? 6.9K for Michael Thomas just sounds crazy in a game that they're going to be underdogs, where they're going to be throwing the ball a ton. I understand Michael Thomas, has had his issues, it sounds like. I don't think it's just an ankle injury right now. It sounds like there's some disciplinary issues as well. But hey, 6.9K, definitely someone worth looking at. This is a guy we paid 9K for. We've seen it at 9.9K, and now he's 6'9", and it's not because he's like, old or dust like T.Y. Hilton. It's just because of the injury and then just like disciplinary issues. And on top of that, like, it's just the pricing just hasn't adjusted for him because he hasn't had a great year. That's how the DraftKings algorithm works. So definitely take a chance on that. I think it's worth looking at for sure. I don't need to be paying for Alvin Kamara. And I don't know the Bucs situation, right? Like, I don't want to take chances on Ronald Jones, Fournette, and all the other guys. Like, what will Antonio Brown do? That's just a mess of a situation. I'll save that for Big T and our Showdown product here over on the premium side at Run Pure Sports. Big T will put together a Showdown playbook. He'll do a video on it, and he'll help give you the winners for that on Sunday Night Football.
All right, very good. Again, that's some of the stuff you get when you sign up at runpuresports.com. You get the Showdown content. Just for $40 a month, you get Showdown content, Showdown videos, Showdown core. I mean, it really is terrific. Just dip your toe in the water, just like on the bet side, $20 a week. You kidding me? The way that JJ's been crushing college football, the way that Keg has been crushing the NFL, Maxwell Smart, Twatty Lottie, Joey Work, all these guys. Like, seriously, they're all just I'm having a better year in betting than I am in DFS, and I'm up in both. So I'm just going to tell you that right now. If I was not working for them, I would be a subscriber. So this is terrific. Hit the like button, please. That'd be terrific. And that's about it. If we get to 50 likes, you'll get some gear. That'll be wonderful. Next game on the slate here, Keg. Why did we pick Detroit, Minnesota? Is this supposed to be juicy, Mangone? Did you pick this one?
Oh yeah, I mean, we were asking, hey, can we get a couple more games in there? And I said Detroit, Minnesota. Okay. Yeah, it's a 52.5 total in a dome, baby. Okay. Like, I don't want these win games. Get this crap out of here, man. Like, give me the dome, right? It's exciting football. Okay. I don't have to see, wind and sleet and all the crazy stuff we saw in that Cleveland game. So I'll kick it off for us with a 52.5 total. Like I said before, that's obviously good. And on top of that, it's only a 4-point difference in the spread, right? And this Vikings defense is one that we've wanted to attack, right? The question is, are the Lions smart enough to start attacking it? Now, this is how I normally handle the Lions. If I think the Lions are going to be leading or, have a chance to be leading, I don't really want to target their offense as much, right? I also want to make sure Kenny Galladay's in there. That's a concern. There's no Kenny Galladay, right? But we do have some cheap price tags on some of these guys. Marvin Jones, 5'1", who's now going to be the number 1 receiver. You got Marvin Hall, who's 3'8", who I tempered my expectations on. You got Amendola at 3.7. So there's options to go to here and take some shots on. I don't know if these guys are cash game guys, but they're definitely in play. And then DeAndre Swift. he has seen a massive bump in snaps each week, right? It keeps going up, up, and up. Adrian Peterson, it sounds like, we're getting to that time of year where he just becomes dusty and, it's all over for him. And then he'll be back next September to be scoring like 4 touchdowns. But he's going to get the work, right? And it seems like it's going to keep increasing and increasing. I know it's a revenge game for Adrian Peterson, so we'll have to see what they do with it. But I think Swift is a pretty good play at 5K over on DraftKings. Let's shift over to the Viking side of the ball. You did the premium show with JSU, right, on Sunday at 11:30. And what was he pumping all show, Holden, about Dalvin Cook?
Just do it. Just do it.
Just play him, right? Because he's Dalvin Cook, and you know why? And I think the big thing he kept mentioning was JSU thought that the Vikings would win. And because he thought the Vikings would win, he thought, hey, the game script is going to be Dalvin Cook running the ball, which is correct. If the Vikings are winning, then Mike Zimmer is going to pound the rock. It's a really simple scenario, right? Like in the past Seattle, it was if Seattle's losing, then Russell Wilson throws the ball a lot. Like, it's just like simple. So Dalvin Cook is going to be a really strong play this week. Maybe it's like the wrong take to jump on him now. Maybe I'm being too late to the party, but this is the Lions. They're one of the worst rush teams in the league. It's in a dome too. I mean, everything lines up for it to be a really big Dalvin Cook week. I think he's going to be a bit chalky, but I do like him as an option. And hey, they have a nice total, right? So Adam Thielen is in play, Justin Jefferson, they're in play. And hey, I'll give you a cheap tight end play. I've been doing pretty good on the cheap tight end calls. I don't know if I'm going to make this my cheap tight end call. We've gotten it 2 weeks in a row. Pretty right on the GBP off the chalk show. Yeah, Big Irv, and he's running more routes, which is good, but I want to look into the situation more. I think it makes some sense. Again, I'm not, saying that this is my guy that I'm going to make my cheap tight end play that, ends up getting 8 fantasy points while all the other ones bust. And, he ends up being a great route to make some great teams. But I think he's very intriguing at 2.9K. I'm not going to overlook him. He's someone I'm going to look at as an option and put him in my pool. Even I think in cash games, I'm going to consider it. Because, again, I hate the tight end position, so I typically like to punt it. And last week I ended up paying up for Kittle, and it was frustrating. So, I don't know, might go back to paying down at tight end.
You mentioned weather real quick. There's not too much. First of all, we're not supposed to have any rain. We're not supposed to have any snow or sleet. We got 18 to 20 miles an hour in Kansas City. I'm not worried about that. We got 19 miles an hour in Tampa Bay. We'll see if that comes down. Maybe a little bit on Showdown. We can lean toward, a short passing game and the running game. All right, let's get to you here, Keg. As Mangone stole, all your thunder. You're supposed to go first. Mangone was acting like an alpha. Usually don't see that out of him either, which is impressive. This total sitting at 52.5. It is a 4-point home favorite for Minnesota. You got to lean on this one there, Keggy?
I'll tell you, bro, these Vikings are going to be the death of me, man. I mean, just the conundrum, riddles, everything. I had 2 second legs of money line parlays going into Sunday. One was on the Packers, one was on the Vikings. I took both minus 300 favorites down to plus money. What happens? A Minnesota Vikings team that just got destroyed by the Falcons the game prior. They run all over the Green Bay Packers with Dalvin Cook, who has a ridiculous day. And together, they stuck it so far up my behind. I woke up on Monday spitting out laces, man. I meant the Packers and the Titans. So, clearly I don't have my finger on the pulse of the Minnesota Vikings. The Packers defense looked really bad against the run a year ago, and they looked just as bad Sunday because the Minnesota Vikings and Dalvin Cook destroyed them. Now, the analytics say that the Vikings are an average team at best, right? But clearly they can move the football against teams that struggle against the run. So the question is, are the Detroit Lions one of those teams that struggle against the run? Yeah, they are. The Lions are 23rd against the run this year. They give up about 130 yards per game on the ground. And, that sounds like music to the Minnesota Vikings offense ears. So, the Lions are what we thought they were, somewhere around a 500 team, middle of the road in offense and defense. And that's basically what they are right now. 3-4 on the year. They're 18th and 17th in offense and defense. They didn't look good against the Colts on Sunday at all. They were drubbed by 20. And that makes sense when you're -2 in turnover differential and only have the ball for 1/3 of the game. So the defense didn't play as bad as the final score on Sunday. The Colts had less than 5 yards per play, which is, a solid defensive effort for the Lions. But the offense did them no favors, and that's why they went on to lose by like 3 touchdowns. So, I guess I would lean the Vikings here. As far as the spread is concerned, I don't feel great about it, though. They will probably be able to run the ball at will in this game and control the time of possession. And if they can win the turnover battle, they should be able to do enough to get the job done. But again, it's a lean. Now, the total right now, somewhere around 53. I'm going to lean under here for the same reasons that I just spoke about. If the Minnesota Vikings can run the ball and control the time of possession, it probably leads to slightly less scoring than you would think from 2 struggling defenses. So slight lean to the Vikings, really slight, and definitely lean under here. That's all I got.
Okay. Just as long as we're talking betting here, if you ever needed another reason to move to South Dakota, one of 3 states.
There you go.
Yeah, they approve sports betting. It might take a little while to officially get everything going, but they did. Maryland did. Oh my God, Maryland. Living in DC, that's just amazing. DC has the worst odds in the world because the lottery runs them. Maybe Maryland will be smarter than Louisiana. So you go down to New Orleans and hang out in a city that smells like urine. You can also bet, which is wonderful. You guys probably like New Orleans, don't you? You're drinkers.
I'm a big fan of legalized sports betting, man. Pretty soon it'll be in every state, you hope.
Good for us. It's really good for us. All right, since Mangone stole the show on the last one, let's go to Mangone first because I think I'm not sure. Do you have a hard opinion on this, Keg? Just a yes or a no on this next game with Denver and Atlanta?
Hard opinion. If the Falcons get to 2.5, it will probably be a play for me. If it gets to 3, I would lean that way.
All right, we're going to break it down with you here in a minute. Denver, Atlanta, total here 49.5 or 50. You know what? It's Atlanta -4, but I do see it -3.5 at DraftKings right now as we do this on Wednesday afternoon. So that's interesting. But going into this game, I mean, there's so many different ways to look at this, Mangone. Like Denver, Atlanta. So we like the 2 cheap tight ends on the Broncos side. I don't know if Ridley's playing this week. What does that do to Julio Jones? What about these 2 running games? What the hell is going on with Drew Lock? Travis, clear some of this stuff up for me, man.
Oh, yeah. I mean, listen, if Ridley doesn't play, we're definitely going to be talking about Julio Jones as an option. And of course, chalk Julio Jones, that's never failed once ever in DFS history. But yeah, we're going to be playing him 7.2K. Definitely going to have a lot of interest in him. And even Hayden Hurst at 4.1. I don't want to sleep on him. I think he's a pretty good option. And Russell Gage is only 4.5. And that would slide into a really nice role. Todd Gurley would maybe make as a better FanDuel play. Man, he's definitely been decent this season for them. My only issue with Gurley is he doesn't get any PPR, right? And on DraftKings, that's tough. FanDuel, let me see if this price tag is decent over there. Pulling it up now. Because I like this game. I think it's definitely a good one to target with a nice little 50 total on how bad that Falcons defense is. But we got Gurley at 6.9K over on FanDuel, which is not great. I don't know. I don't know if I can stomach that one. But let me talk about some of these Broncos guys. The Broncos, it's a tough situation because there's a lot going on there. But the prices are really cheap. That's the one thing I saw with this game. I was like, man, it's rare you get a 50 total, right? And it's in a dome against a defense that's this bad. You can make a case like Melvin Gordon, Phillip Lindsay. We don't have to be targeting the running backs here against the Falcons. The Falcons are a pass funnel, right? They're a team that you can throw the ball on. And Drew Lock can sling the ball around. He's not scared to, right? So I think he is definitely at 5.2K. Someone you could consider in your cash games. You might not need to, but I think you can consider him. And then I think these receivers, right? all of these receiving options are below 5K. Jerry Jeudy, only 4.7. Obviously, he can be a really good option. Tim Patrick, he has been, pretty solid for that team. I wouldn't hate that as an option, but I think Jerry Jeudy over Tim Patrick straight up. KJ Hamler could be a really good tournament option at 3.5K that could just get no ownership. And he's a bit of an explosive play kind of guy, so I don't hate that. And then Noah Fant and my boy Alberto, he was one of the cheap tight ends I went to last week who, hey, you got a touchdown, he got 7.9 fantasy points, but if you paid down at tight end, it ended up working out for you. Obviously, Kelsey was the one guy who had a big game. So that was the only downside, but you were able to spend up on the really good options, right? You were able to get all those good guys like DK Metcalf, who had a big game, Russell Wilson, and guys like that. But I think Albert O becomes in play a little bit again. And Noah Fant is only 4.6, right? And if you look, his targets, 9 targets, 7, 6, 10, 5, 6. That's really good. They're using the tight end a ton. I know Alberto only got that 1 target last week, so I'd rather probably go Noah Fant over him. But the one thing I will say about Noah Fant too, and again, like coaches talk, right? And when coaches say something, you got to listen. Sometimes they tell them the truth, sometimes they're not. But one thing I heard last year at the beginning of the season when the Broncos were playing is they talked about Noah Fant. I forget the name of the coach there, but he basically said, Noah Fant is he's like a franchise cornerstone piece, right? When you're talking about a guy like that, you're going to get him involved, right? And he's definitely been a big part of this team. I think 4.6K is still a good price against a pass funnel team. I like Noah Fant a little bit at 4.6K. I think he's in the pool. I think he's in the conversation.
I love him. And listen, you're not the only one to mispronounce or just not even try Albert Okwuegbunam. Last week when Greg Gumbel, the great Greg Gumbel, was calling that game, he screwed it up. He even said, I screwed it up. And then he went down to his notes. He goes,
wait a minute.
Okwuegbunam.
Wait a minute. The great Greg Gumbel?
Dude, he's one of the best play-by-play studio hosts that we've seen in so many years. He's amazing.
Okay.
You don't like him?
I mean,
I'm just saying, as a broadcast professional,
I'm indifferent about
he's
him.
Great.
All right.
You know what? Hall of Famer. Guy's been doing it for years.
You would know better than me, my friend.
Yeah, right. You know better about spreads. I know better about Gumbles.
By the way, we have our first disagreement from Switzerland. Greg Gumbel is where Switzerland draws the line. Greg Gumbel being a great announcer, no.
Crap. How many times have you heard the great Greg Gumbel in a sentence before today?
Have you ever talked to Greg Gumbel?
I've never spoken to the man.
He's the great Greg Gumbel.
Okay, fair enough.
Brian's brother.
If his name was like Fred, would he be the great Fred Gumbel? No, I mean, it's because of the G's all together, right?
Is that what it is?
Gumbel, is that it? I
think personally, no, but that's fine. You're right. Switzerland chiming in. First, he says, I got no opinion.
I couldn't let the great Greg Gumbel
go. First, he has no opinion on Greg Gumbel. Now he has a strong opinion on Greg Gumbel. Right. He's been invaded.
You're right.
And now he's taking it out on poor old United States of America right over here. What country is Travis? Seems like Guam or something like that. Guam? Just some small little one in the middle of nowhere. Liechtenstein.
I'm like an exotic island. I don't know.
Are you? I feel like you're Liechtenstein or like Transylvania or something. Just so scary to me. So you like both tight ends too with Denver, but Fant ahead and Okwuegbunam to maybe catch a touchdown to pay off.
Yeah,
I mean to me, you guys love punting at tight end. Every week it's like Drew Sample, Irv Smith. Why not this guy at like $1?
Yeah, I mean, again, it's because it's like what I can get me and throughout my other lineup, right, in cash games. So that's why I consider it. Even tournaments, right, if I don't like the guys to spend up on. So that's kind of why. But yeah, I mean, the Falcons, they're going to be a big team we're looking at on Friday. We're going to be like, what's the injury news on Calvin Ridley? We're going to be talking about that because that's going to be really big news and could shake up the slate a bit. So that's definitely another thing they'll be watching for.
All right, betting side. Let's do this. Super betting side. As again, 3.5, 4, the total's 49.5, 50. Oh, I also wanted to mention that Atlanta's allowing an NFL high 6 300-yard passing games. I think the over might be kind of sexy here, Keg. Am I off base? Just say yes or no. That's fine.
I'm not sure. Don't look now. But the Atlanta Falcons were like 2 points a couple weeks ago away from 3 straight wins now when you count the win over the Panthers this week. So, yes, the analytics still think that this team is awful, right? But they're playing better the last 3 weeks than the way they started the year. That's for sure. every year, obviously, you see syndicates back a team or two all year that the public wants no part of after a horrific start. A couple of years ago was the Cleveland Browns, and it never really paid off for the syndicates that year. This year, one of those teams definitely appears to be the Atlanta Falcons, and you can see the pendulum starting to swing for this team the last few weeks. They're 3-5 against the spread, and I would expect, at least for now, that the big smart money continues to back this team. So as far as the Broncos, man, I'm not a big fan of Drew Lock at all, if I'm being honest. He looks at best, average when I watch him. Now, the Broncos were, the latest team to benefit from another 17-point implosion by the Chargers, right? The Chargers clearly can't play with a lead. Anthony Lynn, probably the worst coach in football. Does that mean that the Broncos played particularly well? No, not really. They were +1 in turnovers, which is good, but they only had the ball for about 23 minutes. They were 37% on third down. So the offense did not play great. Where this team exceeds is basically their defense. The analytics have this defense comfortably in the top 10. But again, they let the Chargers hang 30 on them. And the Chargers YPP was pretty solid on Sunday. So the defense didn't look great either. I think the Broncos end the year a sub-500 team. That's what they are now. I think they stay that way. As far as the spread is concerned, at this number, it's a pass. But if the Falcons get to 2.5 this week, it would probably be a play for me. If it gets to 3, I would lean that way. Right now, I really don't want any part of the Denver Broncos at this number. Maybe I would consider them at 4.5, but I doubt we see 4.5 in this game unless the syndicates come in heavy on Atlanta and they get steamed again, which I guess is possible considering the way the big money's backed them in the last month. The total 50-50.5 right now, it might be crazy to say this, but the Atlanta Falcons over the last 5 weeks have been a sneaky good defensive team. If you look at their scores, I mean, they give up 23 to the Lions, 17 to the Panthers, 23 to the Panthers again, 23 to the Vikings. So, I mean, in this year, with the way that offenses are going off, not giving up more than 23 points a game in over a month is actually a defense not playing that bad. So I think I would have a slight lean to the under here based on the fact that the Falcons defense has looked a little better lately. But other than that, that's all I got. If we see 2.5, I'll back the Falcons. If we see 4.5, maybe you back Denver.
Okay, I like it. Before we get out of here, guys.
One quick thing I want to mention to Jay. Not that the Falcons defense hasn't been playing better or anything like that. I really think it's the time of possession thing. If you watch these Falcons games, they sit there and whenever they get the ball and they feel like they at least are in the close enough game where they can control it, they just play so slow. If you look, NFL yards per play on the season, Falcons, they give up 6.6 yards per play. That's where they're at right now. If you look at their last 3 games, they're the worst in 2020. If you look at their last 3 games, they're 4th worst at 6.6 also. If you look at time of possession on the Falcons, where are they at? They are at 31.38 per game. And if you look, that's 8th best in the league, right? That's like right next to the Rams, the Colts. They just play so slow. So the thing that's really nice about the Broncos is if the Broncos, let's say the Broncos can get up and get a lead, or any team that by that matter, any team gets a lead on them, the Falcons then stop playing slow. They play fast. And then what happens is that game gets crazy, right? Because that offense starts going, actually starts moving and making some plays. So that's where it's key from a DFS perspective. We have the offenses just interact with each other and go crazy on the defenses. And that's where it becomes really big. Obviously, if the Falcons get the lead and then they're just playing keep away, then it's a problem.
All right, Keg, let's wrap this thing up here. We're going to say goodbye. Before we do that, hit a thumbs up. Okay, give us a like. This will be viewed by many once once we go off live and put it on YouTube as a tape show. So even though you're taped, hit that too. What do we got going on the bet side here?
Subscribers show tonight with Max for some. What do we got? Maxing tonight for college football. I'm sure that JJ, maybe Twatty will have some college football plays up there tonight. Thursday, tomorrow, we will have Thursday Night Football. Obviously, it'll be a public show. Saturday and Sunday, we'll have the UFC fight night and NFL live betting all day Sunday for subscribers. It's Joey will have a fighter on Friday for subs, and we might get a Max show on Friday night also, which is possible. And then that's it, man. We really had a little bit of a freezer September. But man, the boys came out swinging in October. We're off to a great start in November. So things are going really well. We're up almost 35 units in the first 3 months for $60 a month. You can't ask for more than that, my friend.
$20 a week too, just in case you want to take a little toe in the water thing. And yeah, JJ already posted 2 college games. I don't even have the chance to watch college as much. I just tailed JJ. It was an amazing weekend. It absolutely was an amazing last weekend, and he's doing it a lot, like every single week.
That kid's on a heater.
Yeah, he's on a heater, and just jump on like Joey Work with baseball. All right, so here's what we've had. Joey Work in the playoffs for baseball went like, I don't even want to say like 10-1. Like the World Series, he went 5-1.
Yeah.
I mean, are you kidding me? He wasn't losing. Now we got college football with JJ. You're crushing it on the NFL side. Twatty's crushing it on both sides. I mean, and Maxwell Smart, I'm going to hop on his show tonight. That guy's been throwing out college football picks left and right.
He's done really well in college football. And
I know. And he's supposed to be a hoops guy.
He barely knows what's going on over there. Wait,
I know.
He's
a savant.
You've never seen this kid in a college basketball season. It's a sight.
Well,
behold.
We'll be doing shows together. Mangone. Come on, let's plug the premium stuff here. Let's get in on it, especially on Sundays if you're into the NFL, because you started off and then I finish it.
Yeah, on Sunday mornings we do the Wood Show with me, Hoop, Big T. It's a good time. 10 o'clock. We break down the slate, have a good time, laugh a little, make fun of each other. It's always a good time there. I mean, I'll give out my core plays. We got so much football content, for you guys, and college football on Saturdays as well. So don't miss out on that. Tons of awesome stuff coming. And hey, sports are back, and they're just moving along just fine. Even though we got a little of a lull here, but that's okay. Basketball will be back soon, and then we'll be alive and kicking.
Yep. You can look at the guys' cores too. You can look at Mangone's core plays. You can look at Big T. You can look at JSU, all of them. Like all of our insiders, you can look at their core plays, and then you go over to the playbook and you mess with the numbers. You basically can figure out what lineups these guys are playing too. I mean, it really is. We got some great tools. We got a new optimizer as well. So that's great. All right. So head over to runpuresports.com, sign up, runpurebets.com, sign up. Mr. Simon back in the studio making us look gorgeous today. Joey Work complaining that I'm not in between both of you because you have 2 beards and I got a shaved face. Joey Work, what do you know about beards? He's also taking the Broncos, so he likes the Broncos this week. For Mr. Keg and for Travis Mangone, my name is Holden, and keep running pure. Do you like that one? You like that?